Welcome everyone to Unit 1, What is Economics? I know that you probably have been through this in Macroeconomics, but there is no harm of some revision. So what is economics? Let me remind you of what is economics. Actually, economics is a social science. We have two types of sciences, natural sciences and social sciences. So economics is one of these social sciences that actually deals with the human behavior toward how to deal with scarcity. What do we mean by scarcity? Scarcity means that we have unlimited needs and we have limited resources. Every guy at least is looking for a Lamborghini. But actually, why not everyone getting a Lamborghini? Because actually we have limited resources. Another example of scarcity, you being sitting here and not enjoying maybe sitting with your friends, and instead of that you are listening for this lecture. This is another example of scarcity. Your time is scarce. You cannot do two things at the meantime. So microeconomics, or economics as a whole, is trying to figure out how humans make their decisions when they deal with this problem, the problem of allocating their limited resources toward their unlimited needs. Another example for that will go for the governments. Governments also make such decisions. If they spend more on health, they have to spend less on housing. If they spend more on housing, they have to spend less on policing. So they cannot spend all their dreams over all the sectors because they have limited resources. Same case goes for businesses. Businesses also, if they have chosen one type of production, like they gonna have labor intensive, a labor that recruit a large number of workers, they cannot at the same time use a high-tech factories that use less workers. It is scarcity. Unlimited needs, however limited resources. Economics actually goes for two specialization, let's say. Or let's go for two main streams: microeconomics, which talk about part of the economy, and macroeconomics, which talk about national and world economy. When we talk about microeconomics, we're talking about parts of the economy. We're talking about the consumer decision whether to buy this good or that good. When we talk about macroeconomics, we're talking about the choices of the whole community or the whole players in the society, and how does it affect the national economy and the global economy. When we're talking about Samsung to choose where to allocate its headquarters, either in Dubai or in Riyadh, here we're talking about microeconomics. However, when we talk about unemployment, we are talking macroeconomics. So micro is talking actually about parts of the economy, choices of parts of the economy. However, macroeconomics is talking about the whole picture. It's talking about the global economy or the national economy. It's similar to your grade in economics and your GPA. Your grades in economics will be the microeconomics side, and your GPA will be the macroeconomic or the whole picture of the economy. Well, in order for a science to be a science, it had to answer some questions. So microeconomics had three main questions, and macroeconomics also had three main questions. So let us talk about the three main questions of microeconomics before we go talking about the three questions of macroeconomics. And through answering those questions, we're gonna know the different topics that we'll be introduced to through our macroeconomics course. So the first question is what goods and services to be produced. The second is how goods and services are produced, and the third is for whom those goods and services are produced. So the first question is what goods and services to be produced. So let us define first what do we mean by goods and services. Goods and services is anything with a value that satisfies needs. So if it satisfies one of my needs, it is goods and services. For example, camera that I'm picturing this movie with is a good. However, the services that our producer here is doing is a service. So any good or a service that's giving you value, this would be a good or services that satisfy part of our needs, and it is a concern of economics to study. So this curve actually is showing us the different choices that was made with the American people allocating their resources between different services and goods. Actually, the world have seen two systems in allocating resources and how to choose goods and services to be produced. We have the market economy, where we leave the society free to choose what goods and services to be produced through the supply and demand forces that you have been introduced to in microeconomics course, and the command economy, where the government will decide about what to produce and at what quantity to produce. Nowadays, most of the countries of the world are using the market economy with a limited intervention of the government. However, microeconomics is trying to answer this question. What makes us produce more wheat and less strawberry? What makes us make a decision to use this acre of land to be the AAST, why it was in Disneyland? So microeconomics try to answer such a question. Well, another application for this question is what is the development of different sectors of the economy through the years. Actually, we have three main sectors when it comes to what goods and services we produce. We have the agricultural sector, we have mining, construction, and manufacturing, and services. As you can see from the graph, that the agriculture actually is going down through the year. It's its share of the production is going down. Services are going up. Manufacturing and mining actually is also going down. This actually gives us a hint and give us actually a signal of how services are important in our today's life. This trend actually is continuing. We can see that if we compare between three big economies like United States, Brazil, and China, and we compare the size of the three sectors, we'll find that the services is dominating the United States, which actually considered, at least for these days, the biggest economy all over the world. Also, services is dominating the Brazil economy. However, for China, we can find some balance between industry and services, but still services is a very important sector in this economy. Egypt is no exception from this. If you take a look on your graph, you can see that actually services in Egypt is also consisting 54% of the economy of our production. Comes at the second place industry 34, and in the third place agriculture. Microeconomics is concerned about answering the question about what goods and services to be produced, why services are dominating our production of nowadays, what actually define the particular goods that we would produce from one year to another. Well, the second question is how goods and services are produced. And if I ask you this question, if you needed to make a project, what do you need? If you want to start a factory, I can hear your voices saying that we're gonna need some labor, people that works in the factory. We're also gonna need a machine. We're also gonna need a businessman. This guy who actually have the knowledge and the way of thinking to make a project. What else are we gonna need? We're gonna need land and natural resources. These are the factors of production. From economic perspective, factors of production are the resources that we do use to make a project. Actually, microeconomics summarize all of these factors in 4 categories: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. When we say land, we talk about all the surface that we live in over and natural resources. So here we have land. When we talk about labor, we are either talking about blue collars who usually work using their physical abilities, or white collars when they usually work emphasizing on using their intellectual property. So here we have either blue collars or white collars. So blue collars are people working with their hands, white collars are executives that usually works using their intellectual property. And we end up with the entrepreneur. This guy, this magician, that actually is able to mix all of these and make us a project and production. So factors of production, according to economics, is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So let's dig deeper into these definitions. So when it comes to land, it's all the surface and all the natural resources, either petrol, gold, diamond, all of these are called land from economic perspective. And we have labor, either blue collars working with their hands or white collars. On the other hand, we have the capital, which we forgot to talk about. So capital from economic perspective is any good that is not consumed by itself, however, it is used to produce another good. So machines, building, instruments, like a hammer, would be a capital. And then we have the organizer, the magician, that actually mix all of these and make the project and then the goods. So 4 factors of production that would answer the question of microeconomics: how do we produce goods and services? Microeconomics is concerned about how salaries are defined, how rent of apartments are determined. All of these are the question of how much labor a company would use against or versus machines. All of these are microeconomics questions. So related to this question is the change in human capital. Related to this question is the change in human capital. We're talking about this guy life. So what do you mean by human capital? Actually, your human element in any economy, ability to produce, is not only excluded or dominated by the number of workers. It depends on the knowledge, training, and working skills that those people have. So here, actually an example of the development of the working capital in the United States between the year 1910 and year 2000, it shows us the different changes in the level of education of the workforce in the United States, of the population as a whole, and how did this working capital change. Well, the third question is, after what, how, is for whom goods and services to be produced. Actually, for whom is a question about who consumes goods and services, who uses goods and services that we have produced. Actually, it depends. The answer is it depends on income. And this is a very tricky question, because actually it has an innocent side that would say that actually what defines who to use these goods and services are the incomes that generated by the factors of production. So we have 4 factors of production and 4 sources of income. So when it comes to land, the income that generated by land is called, let's use another color, is called rent. Okay, so this is not clear, so let's make it to the right. So it is rent. And then when we talk about labor, the income that goes for labor is called wages. And when it comes to capital, the income that generated by capital is called interest. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, the income that comes from entrepreneurship for entrepreneurs is called profit. So we have 4 factors of production and we have 4 sources of income: rent, wages, interest, and we have profit. Another question that, or another side of this question that macroeconomics is trying to answer, is how income is allocated between the different layers of the society, or between the different members of the society. This question is related to the distribution of income between the different members of the society. So here we're going to divide our society into 20%. So if we imagine that we have 10 persons in our society, what we're going to do is we will divide those people according to the income that they make. Okay guys, this is assumed that our population consists of 10 persons and their income was as following. This guy is 1200, this guy is 1500, this guy is 1000, this guy is 900, this guy is 1100, this guy is 1000, this guy is 1000, and this guy is 800, and finally our friend in here is 500. What we want to do now is to define the income distribution of these people, their share of the national income or the whole income of the community. How much does they get? So what is the total of this? It is a total of $10,000. So we assume here that the income of the whole society is $10,000. So we want to allocate the people in 20 percentile. The 20 richest people, and the 20 poorest people, and the 60% middle class. So who is the wealthiest between those guys? The 20%, the wealthiest, we have here so who are the 2 richest persons in this society? We have person 1 and person 2 with a total of 2,700. So they represent 27% of the income of this country or this society. Who are the 20% poorest people? So we'll find that those guys are the poorest guys, and the total is 1,300, and they actually getting 13% of the whole economy society. And comes in the middle class, these actually representing the middle class, which are 60% of the society, making about 60% of the income of this country. What we have done here is we defined the classes of the society and what is their percentage of the total income. And this is one of the main questions that microeconomics try to answer. How is the income allocated between the different classes in the economy? What is the percentage, the share of the richest people from the income of the society and the poorest people? In other words, inequality. Well, guys, at this point, we are done with our Unit 1, talking about definition of economics, the 3 main questions of microeconomics: what goods and services to be produced, how goods and services are produced, and for whom goods and services are produced. I'll be waiting for you in the next unit.